now, oil prices have been boosted by tensions with Iran. Thursday saw further scenes of unrest as the country marked the anniversary of the 1979 revolution. President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad used the rally to attack the West and said Iran had produced its first stock of 20% enriched uranium, while opposition supporters clashed with security forces. Well, I'm now joined by Mehrdad Khonsari, a former diplomat and royal advisor under the Shah, and now a research consultant at the Center for Arab and Iranian Studies here in London. Thanks so much for speaking to us. First of all, let me start by asking you about the scenes we've been seeing in Iran, protest amid massive rallies in support of the regime.
Well, of course, you have to put that into pretext. The regime has used the enormous resources of the state to try to fend off the demonstration on the part of the protesters. As you know, one key indicator of this is the Ahmadinejad government attempt to remove all subsidies and to pay subsidies directly to the people, in essence making many lower income people something like government employees or on the government payroll. And it's this kind of people that have been encouraged to participate in the demonstrations, pro-government demonstrations yesterday. And, so when you have a situation like this, a state mobilized on a particular day to fend off opposition, this is what you get. But I don't think that is a sign that the opposition is gone or
Sure,
or that
no. It may not be a sign the opposition is gone, but the regime does have a great deal of support. I mean, President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad is this populist figure that does have some grassroots support in the rural areas, in the provinces, despite all the accusations surrounding the election. Do you think this is a country somewhat divided in its vision?
Well, you have to bear in mind that any leader has a constituency and has a group of supporters, and Ahmadinejad is no exception from that. There are, a significant percentage of Iranians who support the present government. The question is, there is an overwhelming majority that don't have a say, and that is what all this is about,
Is it an overwhelming majority, though? How do we know that it's an overwhelming majority?
Well, the best indicator for that is the fact that the Ahmadinejad government does not allow any measure of open, you might say, open and free assembly of people to express themselves. You have to bear in mind that yesterday all news networks were shut, the internet was closed, all communications, SMS, etc. was disrupted in order not to give voice to dissenting views.
It's interesting, isn't it? I wanted to ask you about that, if you don't mind. The White House was saying, in Washington, they were saying that as part of Iran's crackdown, Google was, quote, unplugged in the country. Google users were having trouble accessing their Gmail. Do you think that looking ahead, we are going to see more of this? Because during the height of the anti-government protests, video footage that was taken on mobile phones posted on YouTube was key to those protesters getting their voice heard on the international stage. Is the Iranian government developing more of an awareness of that?
Yes, they are, but even so, it's very difficult to prevent this. And even yesterday, given all the measures that the government took, there were a significant number of videos that were posted on YouTube. But that is the trend that the government wishes to sort of promote or to play on. And the fact is that it's an uphill struggle. They closed Facebook, Twitter, things like that. They try to disrupt these. But it's a very difficult task, trying to do this day in, day out. Because after all, Iran cannot live in isolation, and even the Ahmadinejad government needs to communicate with the outside world.
And tell me, how counterproductive are these sorts of crackdowns on protesters? Obviously, we've had international condemnation. That's to be expected, specifically from the US. But what about the impact of these scenes on the government's own supporters? Are there many within the conservative faction itself that disagree with what the regime is doing?
Well, I think there's a huge debate going on within the ruling establishment as to whether a clampdown or a policy of non-compromise and intimidation is the best way ahead. This is the policy that was started and initiated starting in June. But the fact is that the opposition has not gone away. Now, the momentum has ebbed and flowed and, come and gone. But the fact is that the opposition is very much alive, and there are serious questions which the Ahmadinejad government or any government in Iran needs to address in order to have the population on its side. In the long term, there can be no victory if you do not address the things that the people want and want the government to address.
Mehrdad Khonsari, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. We appreciate it.